Hi and welcome to the video. I'm Dame and this is Dame Over. And today we're taking a look at the Scout class with one of the new weapons that's come in with the summer update, the K31/43. And yes, you might ask the question, what does that slash mean? And yes, I do not know. But more importantly, there is something fundamentally wrong about this gun. Something so sickening, it makes your blood boil. But we'll get into that in a second. So like I've done on the previous video for the M3 infrared, I'm going to take you through the stats very quickly for the K31/43 so you know what to expect when you're using it. So this gun has a fire rate of 55 rounds a minute, which is the same as the Kar98K and the Krag Jorgensen. So if you've used any of those sniper rifles before, then you'll be very familiar with how to use this weapon. But the second most important thing about the K31/43 is that you can choose to switch between the 3x scope to a 1.5x iron sight. And I'm just going to show you in-game live how that works. This is a clip that I made last night. So to change from the 3x zoom scope to the iron sight, you hold down the change weapon button like you would do if you're changing fire mode on some of the other weapons. And this is kind of where the joke with this weapon starts. Okay, watch this animation. So I'm holding down the change weapon button to change between the scopes. And there we are. I'm going to do it again and again. And again, and just so you can see, that's the animation that you're looking at. That's all the clarity you're going to get from on screen with the gun itself that you've changed to the different scope. There is also a notification down in the bottom right of the screen, right next to how much ammo you have. That tells you whether you're using the scope or you're using the iron sight. This is the most useful part. So you're going to have to, if you're changing between the sights, read that bit every single time just to make sure, because that animation, especially if you're moving around, is going to get missed very easily. So some of you guys will be wondering if this gun is any good or what specializations to use. And to be honest, I only got it leveled up to level 1. I haven't unlocked all of the specializations, and mostly because this gun, frankly, sucks. It doesn't work properly. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I found out that this weapon isn't actually accurate at all. The bullets do not go where you're pointing the gun if you're using the 3x scope. So to start with, the crosshair is different to every other scope that I've seen in the game, and it's not the regular cross, it's actually a triangle. Which makes sense because it's called a crosshair, because it's a triangle. And you might think this isn't much of a change, it just needs some getting used to. That's exactly what I thought. But honestly, the triangle made things very, very difficult in game, mostly because it's just so thick, which is usually a positive thing. I'm all for it. But in this particular case, it sucks. So let's get into it a little bit more. Myself and Get Good Guy were using this weapon last night because he told me that it wasn't accurate, that there were some issues with the hitbox or where the bullets were going. So we tried to investigate that. We played with the weapon for quite a while and didn't have much success, so we decided to take it into a lobby that was very unpopulated and use the weapon against each other and the environment and compare the results. And this is what we found. So to start with, I'm going to show you some footage using the Type 99 Arasaka. It's got the crosshair, because it's a cross. I'm aiming down sight with it at very close range, as you can see, and where I'm pointing the gun, the bullets go. And just for clarity's sake, I decided to test it from further ranges, and again, like you can see, where the crosshair is, where I'm pointing the weapon, that's where the bullets go. Which is exactly what you expect, exactly how the game works, especially considering in Battlefield 5, the weapons don't have any random bullet deviation. I'm shooting the weapon slow enough that the spread isn't going to be very drastic, and considering it's a sniper rifle, you'd expect it to be 100% accurate. Okay, that was kind of the control sample, so let's have a look at using the K31/43 at similar ranges. Now, both of us had a sneaking suspicion that this weapon wasn't firing where we were pointing the gun. I was finding it particularly difficult to fire a follow-up shot if I had managed to tag an enemy. And look, I'm not fantastic with the scout rifles in Battlefield 5. I don't use them very much because I don't really think they're particularly good, especially on console, which is what I play on. But I know I can hit my shots. So imagine my relief when this is what I see. So I'm standing as close as I can to this crate. I'm aiming at this little hinge kind of thing. You can see directly in front of me. Boom, there's the shot. And look where the bullet hole is. Now I'm aiming at the center of this hinge. I'm making sure I can actually hit it, and there's nowhere else that I'm aiming. That crosshair is directly over the hinge. And here's the second shot. Way off to the right, down to the right, by like a couple of inches. Now, if it's out by that much of a degree when you're that close, every meter that you're further away from your enemy is going to be magnified exponentially. Exponentially. Yep, got it. Okay, and that's just one small test that I'm showing you. So I'm going to show you from slightly further away, kind of exactly the same idea. I'm aiming at the hinge, and we're going to see how far off the bullet is And this is where things get very, very confusing. So I'm further away, I'm aiming at the hinge, and the bullet doesn't seem to deviate as much as it did when I'm up close. So there's a level of inconsistency there. Now let's take the range even further away, like I did with the Arasaka shooting at the wall. And unfortunately here, you can't really see where the bullets land. You can see it in real time, but there aren't any bullet holes, which to me was just completely baffling. So I decided to shoot at this barrel. And again, here's where another inconsistency comes in. As you guys can see, my aim is not perfect, but I'm aiming for the seam at the top part of this barrel and the top third of it. And after shooting 3 shots at it, I go up close to see the spread, and it's actually a pretty tight spread. Seems to make sense with how good my aim was there. Now, again, I don't really understand what's going on here. It seems that the further away you are, the more accurate you are, but then it's not consistent all the time, because if you are far away, sometimes the bullets do go off to the side, but when you're really close, they definitely don't go where you're aiming. To be honest, it's just all a whole load of confusion. And here's just a little added bit, because we decided to go into the practice range to test this out on actual targets instead of just stationary objects, maybe things that could be moving while we're shooting at them, just to get a more rounded idea of what's going on with this weapon. But unfortunately, in the practice range, when they've released a whole ton of new weapons with the summer update, it really cracks me up. They've not added any of the new weapons to the practice range, so you can't use any of the new weapons that came with Battlefield 5's final update in the practice range when they're brand new, which is exactly when people are going to want to use them. Honestly, I just don't understand it. It's so confusing. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to know what to expect with this weapon, because it's really inconsistent. I'd suggest just not using it at all, because there's no point in using a gun that's not going to actually shoot where you're pointing it, especially when there are far, far better weapons to choose from, even in the same class. And particularly on console, the scout class really does suffer because you have to get a headshot to get the kill. So why would you just not use a self-loading rifle? That's my experience, in my opinion at least. And I also want to use this opportunity to ask you guys what you have found is wrong with the K31/43, or if you think it works perfectly, if that's your experience. Honestly, I would genuinely like to know, just out of my own curiosity and to make sure I'm not going completely insane. So please do hit me up in the comments and let me know what your experience of it is. Here's a quick thank you to my Dame operatives, those of you guys supporting the channel through Patreon. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I want to hold your hand while we walk down the street. If you too want to have your hand held, then you can visit the Patreon page using the link in the description or the pinned comment if you want to support the channel from $1 a month. And if you had a good time on this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new around here and want to keep up to date with new content, hit that sub button as well. And don't forget the bell button if you don't want to miss out on any notifications of new posts. And until next time, that's Dame over. Peace.